Hey guys, welcome to another Tuesday edition of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, October 28th. There's about 550 or so titles coming out. I got 14 on my list I'm going to talk about today. I will say of that 14, 8 of those, so a big chunk of those, are all Walmart exclusives, so make sure you stick around to the end for those. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check all those out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for our merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music weekly playlist that we put together, and also the Patreon page. So make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, there's about 550 albums that are coming out this week, and I'm only going to talk about 14 of them, though. So if there's something I don't talk about on the show today, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what else you're looking forward to picking up. You know, sometimes I do tend to miss stuff, even though I think I've gotten pretty good about at least tracking down a lot of the big releases. And if you're unable to find any of these in your local record store, or some of these I'm going to talk about are going to be Walmart exclusives. So if you're unable to find them in your local Walmart, I'll put links down below. You'll be able to find all these online. So I'll put links down there. So at least if you can't find them in person, you can grab them online. So I think the big release for this week is going to be the Beatles Revolver. There's 3 different versions of this that are going to be available. There's a single LP version that's going to run you about $30. There is a single LP with a slip mat version. It's going to run you $40. I'm pretty sure that's the Amazon exclusive. So I'll put links down below for that. And then there's also a super deluxe edition that's going to run you about $192 online. So it's definitely a big price difference between the standard release and the super deluxe. Of course, this is the classic album released back in 1966. It is the Beatles, or it was the Beatles' 7th studio album. This is all remastered by Giles Martin from the original analog tapes. He did the same thing with White Album and Let It Be, which I've got both of those. They sound absolutely fantastic. So I'm sure this is going to sound great also. The Super Deluxe edition includes the new mix on a single LP. It has a mono transfer from the original analog tapes on one LP. So it's kind of cool. You get the new remix stereo version and the mono version. And then it has 2 LPs of alternate takes and mixes. So that might not be worth it to some people. I tend to not listen to a lot of the alternate stuff and live stuff that come in these box sets, so I've been buying fewer and fewer of them over the last couple of years. But this does include a 100-page book, and all these are going to be, at least with the Super Deluxe box set, they're all, I'm assuming the standard edition is too, but at least with the box set, it said they were half-speed mastered. So I'm assuming that the whole thing is, I'll definitely grab the single LP version of it, because like I said, it's if it's anything like the White Album and Let It Be, this is going to sound absolutely great, and it's going to be, probably some of the best sounding Beatles albums of my collection. This week I've also got the new album True North by a-ha being released, kind of along the same lines when I was talking about last week, when you had like Chicago and Jewel and Ugly Kid Joe releasing music. I didn't know a-ha was still recording music and releasing it also, but surprisingly enough, this is their 11th studio album, so they've been pretty prolific over the last, several decades. This is going to run you $48 online. So at first I was like, why is it so expensive? And then I started kind of digging through the package, or what's included in the package. And this is billed as a multimedia experience with an accompanying film. So I'm not sure if the film comes with it. I'm assuming for $50 you'd get the film with it also. But it's definitely interesting. If it's available online, I'll stream it and kind of check it out. One of my favorite greatest hits collections is being reissued this week. This is Alice Cooper's Greatest Hits, original release back in 1974. This is going to be a Friday music release. It's going to run you about $38 online. And this is billed as a Halloween edition. So they did, Friday Music reissued it earlier this year, which I have a copy of. It sounds great. It's fantastic pressing of it. But I don't know what's different between that and this Halloween edition. I haven't seen a color mock-up or anything online, so if somebody knows, you can drop me a comment down below, but I'm not really sure what the difference is. $38. It's kind of pricey, I think, for a single LP, but it is a great collection. I love that Alice Cooper band period of his Alice Cooper's career. It's all of my favorite hits are on that on this album. So definitely a cool one. I already have a couple of copies of it though, so I'm not gonna hunt down this Halloween edition, whatever that is. But the next one, this is Coolio, My Soul. This was originally released back in 1997. It's Coolio's. This is celebrating his 25th anniversary. This is Coolio's third studio album. Obviously, this is all in the works before Coolio's untimely death recently. Gonna run you $30 online. I'm pretty familiar with his first two albums. I'm not really familiar all that much with My Soul. I think "See You When You Get There" is, I think, the only track off this album that I know. I definitely, Coolio's an artist I need to kind of go back and revisit some of his stuff. I love his first two albums, but I'm not really all that familiar with this one. The Black Keys are reissuing Thickfreakness this week. This was originally released back in 2003. It was their second studio album. This can be available on pink vinyl. I will say that they've reissued this, probably 4 or 5 times over the last, 6 or 8 years. And so there's lots of different pressings of this out there, lots of different color pressings. If you get into colored vinyl, like I said, this one's going to be pink. It's going to run you $28 online. The cool thing is about this album is this was a big chunk of this album was recorded in about like 14 hours in one of the band members' basements. So, it's definitely a cool thing. It's a cool album. I'm not a big Black Keys fan. I'm only kind of casually familiar with this album just because, Ian is a fan of the Black Keys, so I've kind of heard some of it through him. But that's a definitely cool one to grab. And then this week you also got Death Cab for Cutie, the photo album, being reissued. This was originally released back in 2001. It was their third studio album. A movie script ending is the only track I've ever known off of this, because it was used on a couple of different TV shows, I think in like the early to mid part of the 2000s. This thing's going to run you $40 though, which is kind of pricey for a single album. But if you're a Death Cab for Cutie fan, I think it's definitely a great one to grab. They've been reissuing some of their stuff over the last month or two, so I'm assuming they're kind of going to keep going on and reissuing the rest of their catalog, I think. Like I said in the intro, the last 8 on the list are all Walmart exclusives, and if you're not able to find them in the store, there's links. I'll put links down below for all of these. The first one is probably one of my favorite Queen albums, The Game. Originally released back in 1980, it was their 8th studio album. This is going to be on silver vinyl. It's going to run you $27 online. I will say that all these Walmart exclusive releases are priced pretty decently. Surprisingly, The Game is the only number one album that Queen ever had here in the U.S., which is just absolutely amazing. And then Another One Bites the Dust and Crazy Little Thing Called Love were the two big hits off this album that I'm sure everyone out there knows. And then this week you've also got the Greatest Showman original soundtrack being released. It was released back in 2017. It's on ruby red vinyl, and it also comes with a Greatest Showman poster. The crazy thing is about this album, it hit number 1 in 77 different countries, which is absolutely amazing for a soundtrack. It's a great movie, great soundtrack, and I probably won't pick it up. It's going to run you $25. Like I said, it's not a bad price, just like everything else on the Walmart list. But I'm not a big soundtrack guy, even though it is a great movie. So Walmart's been doing these exclusive releases for a while now. And they've started doing these like collections from bands. I know they had to write down a list here because I could remember all of them. But they've done Green Day, Led Zeppelin, Metallica, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Eagles. Those are all just the ones I could think of that at least I own some of them. But some of them are colored on colored vinyl, or most Walmart exclusives are on colored vinyl. But they've also been doing this thing with the Led Zeppelin releases and the Eagles releases, where they're just on standard black, but they come with a like a replica backstage pass. They did it with the Van Halen releases also. So you got 2 more like collection packages being released this week, and these are all available individually and as a collection also. So the first 3 you got are all from My Chemical Romance. The first one is The Black Parade. This was originally released back in 2006. It was My Chemical Romance's 3rd studio album. That's going to be on gray vinyl, and it's a double LP. And this is if you're unfamiliar with the album, it's a rock opera. Follows the patient as the character. through his like death and then his experience in the afterlife and then kind of him looking back on his life. It's a really fantastic album. It's probably one of my top probably 5 albums of the 2000s. I absolutely love that one. I've already got I think 2 maybe 3 copies of it, so I'll probably pass on that one just because I've already got multiple copies of it already. You've also got Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys also being released. It's was originally released back in 2010, 4th studio album, and this is going to be on Safari vinyl, which it looks like a brown to me, kind of like a standard looking brown. And this was their last album before they had they went on hiatus from like 2013 to 2019. They were on hiatus, so it's a good album. It's not my favorite My Chemical Romance album, but it's definitely a good one to have. It's on a single LP, so it's going to run you $23, so it's a little cheaper than the other 2. And then the last of the 3 My Chemical Romance releases is May Death Never Stop You, original release back in 2014, and this is on jalapeno green vinyl, which if you want to think of a jalapeno, that's what the color looks like, actually. I think it's interesting how they name some of these albums. But this is a double LP, so it's going to be a little bit more than the last one. That's going to be $34 online. And this is a greatest hits collection from My Chemical Romance from 2001 to 2013. I think there was 1 or 2 tracks on this that weren't studio tracks also, or studio album tracks. So it's if you're kind of a casual My Chemical Romance fan, I think it's probably a good one to pick up and just have that collection. I will say if you want to buy all 3 of these together, Walmart has a package or a bundle, is what they call it, for $85. So it gets you a couple dollars off if you want to buy them all together. So earlier this year when Walmart released, I think it was 6 of the Led Zeppelin albums, I kind of wonder if they're going to go back and release the rest of them. Well, they did, and we're getting them this week. So the first one here, you got Houses of the Holy, released back in 1973. It was the band's 5th studio album. The cool thing is about Houses of the Holy, it was very different than Led Zeppelin 4. The band, especially Jimmy Page, really was able to, he had a home studio by that point and was really able to like experiment with different stuff and really build a more complex, I think, kind of sound. It really came through on the album. It's a fantastic album. It's going to run you $26 online. I will say of the 3 Led Zeppelin albums that are being released, it's going to be the same thing as the last ones. They're on standard black vinyl and they come with it, replica backstage pass, which I think it's kind of cool. I got the Van Halen ones, but the next one you get is probably one of my favorite Led Zeppelin albums, Physical Graffiti, released back in 1975. It was their 6th studio album. This is going to be a little bit more expensive. It's a double LP, so it's going to be $37. It was the first album on Swan Song. And the cool thing is about Physical Graffiti is when they started the recording process, they didn't intend for it to be a double album. Once they got through all the recording sessions, or at least what they thought were, at least like the original recording sessions, they looked at it and they were like, look, we've got enough material here for, I think it was like almost 3 sides of a double album. So they went back and used some unused stuff that they started working on for previous albums, and put that together and kind of rounded out that double album. It's a great album. Like I said, it's probably one of my favorite Led Zeppelin albums. And then the last one you got is Coda. It was released back in 1982. And Coda was released 2 years after the death of John Bonham. And it was just a compilation of all the unused stuff, or a lot of the unused stuff from across Led Zeppelin's career. It's a great listen. It's not one of my favorite Led Zeppelin albums, but it is pretty good. It's going to be $26 online, and I will say if you want to buy all these together, they do have the a Led Zeppelin bundle for $80, so it's not bad. If you want all 3 of those albums. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to. Like I said, what did I say? Almost 550 albums. Yeah, about 550 albums coming out this week. I only talked about 14 of them, though. So let me know what you guys are looking forward to. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.